here, and we are back again today with a little bit more of Sunless Skies Sovereign Edition. As a quick recap, when we played earlier this week, we continued our exploration of the Reach after getting our locomotive, the Orpheon, and traveling to our first 3 ports. We've gone around, discovered a few more places in the Reach, and picked up a few more quests. But now we're going to continue traveling around the Reach, doing a couple short errands at Titania and a few other places. Maybe stop by at Polymere's, Polymere and Plenty's Circus. But our goal for today is we are going to try and make it all the way to Albion. Take the Albion Transit Relay and start exploring a new sector of the sky. So, without any further ado, we are going to go ahead and get started here. Okay, so it looks like we had just a teensy bit of a glitch at the end of the last stream. So we are back at Port Avon. We will head back to Titania shortly. And it looks like we've got fuel, we've got Chorister Nectar, we've got supplies. No, there's nothing else we can do here. Before we take off, let's take a look at our journal. Remind ourselves what we have going on today. So we have our main ambition, writing the Song of the Sky, but we'll need quite a bit more before we can get to that. We have the black box, which we do want to deliver to London, so hopefully we'll make it there in the next stream or two. We have hunting for the hunting club. We haven't done any of that yet. We have to go to London for the cider. We can get some bronze wood and some Chorister Nectar. We can fix the Albert clock at Port Prosper before we go. We can learn more about the incautious driver. We want to take a Skyman captain to Magdalen's. And if we can get the wings of a Chorister bee, we can bring those to the Phlegmatic researcher at the Nature Reserve as well. And if we go back to Hybris, we can pick up a filmmaker, but I don't know that I want to go all the way back to Hybris. So here's our map so far. We've charted out a decent amount of the sky, actually already in the Reach. So we're gonna head back over to Titania here, and then maybe over to the Nature Reserve. Then we'll see where we go from there. But eventually I want to make it to Port Prosper and over here to the Albion Transit Relay. Head to a new portion of the sky. Now, on to Titania again. Okay. Your newly acquired repentant devil is standing, most unrepentantly, over a body in the hallway. You haven't seen this person before. One of your crew? But the deceased is no one you know, a stranger on your locomotive. Cool your baggage you brought aboard, says one of the crew when some others have gathered. Wouldn't have thought it would have fit in your little bag. First, clean up. It won't do to leave the body in the hall, and then your repentant devil can explain himself. He's still got the blood on his cuffs. We can ask him about this. We did do this at the end of the last stream, but it looks like that is part of the bit that we lost during our save breaking weirdly at the end of the stream. so I'm gonna kind of skim through this part. But just gonna get the information about these. Bit of her soul, Caroline. Yeah. All right. Perhaps not. Just as a reminder, we picked up quite a few people last time, so we now have the Incognito Princess, the Fatalistic Signalman, our Repentant Devil, and of course we still have our Incautious Driver. So they're boosting our stats. We can talk to them while we're off exploring the sky here. We'll just keep rolling along. Boxes. Huh, interesting. So we have an opportunity here to potentially get some very cheap bronze wood. Our supplies aren't great, but we're not that far from Titania, where we can buy some more. So I'm gonna go ahead and say that we will take this deal. We will go ahead and get some bronze wood. Eat. We can get that plus our chorister honey. We can do all kinds of good stuff. Just out of curiosity, what do we have right now? So, okay, we have our 6 fuel, 2 supplies, 2 chorister honey, 1 bronze wood. And the devils at Caroline want 5 chorister honey. And there's a few other quests that also want some chorister honey, so we will see. We are almost back to Titania. Let's see how Titania is doing today. Last time we were here, it was just beautiful and full of poets and academics who are allowed to argue about things. But this is one of the, I maintain this is one of the prettiest little environments in the whole game. Titania is meant to be basically a giant orchid in the sky, big enough to build a city on. It's kind of amazing. Alright, Titania is under siege. Chorister bees flooded streets of petals. The thrashing of their wings is a drumbeat of apocalypse, and the people flee in panic from their mighty stingers. But there's no safe harbor and no respite. All is lost. So we have a choice here. We can help defend Titania, or we can flee the bee-apocalypse. Our iron gives us a pretty good chance of succeeding this. This is one of the 4 stats, and it's the one that I think is our highest. I'm not sure if our hearts or our iron is highest at this point. But we're pretty good at fighting. Let's fight some bees. Hooray! Silence in the space of half an hour. Plain song drowns the lamentation and the fury and the mind. All the world joins death's hymnal, those who would proudly defy their fate, and those who beg for wretched mercy, those who would raise their arms, those who would buckle their knees. The chorister hive takes the lyrics of poets yet unwritten, the unsung songs from lips now forever silent. It is only iron and fire that quiets the voice of carnage. But lo, the song ends only by its own chord. gathered, the hive departs, and there is lasting silence. So we got some chorister nectar, and we have defeated some bees. But this is a constant hazard of Titania, is sometimes there's bees. It's what we get for building a city in a giant flower. So we can write a port report now that we've seen what's going on here. And we can we can go ahead and take a look. Hello, Griffin Moth. At what we do now that Titania has been attacked by bees. The Raspotic Mare looks relieved to see you. Ah, Captain. Perhaps you could settle a little matter for us? We've agreed that we need to choose one style and stick with it, but... She sighs, gesturing at her fellow council members, the melancholy poet and the stone-faced sculptor. Well, we find ourselves at an impasse. Your thoughts? So, once we go to Albion or to Eleutheria, we can pick a style. I've been to neither place yet, so nothing will happen at Titania for now. But they'll be arguing about this for a while. We can attend an art exhibition, decrease our terror a little bit. Don't want that to get too high. Anything else we can do at Titania right now? No, these are bad deals. I don't like those. We don't have any hold space. That's not my favorite, but I think it'll be okay. There might be a path through there. Magdalene's. Where's Carolyn's? Is Carolyn's up here? I don't know. There's one of the inner circle ports I haven't found yet, and I need to find it. For many reasons. But let's see if I can go this way. Maybe I can fight some chorister bees, in which case I'll go this way. Yeah, there's a lot of just going in between places and listening to the train. Chugga chugga around. Please let me know if the train is still too loud. This has been a problem before, as my voice is quiet and my train is loud. So do let me know if there are any audio issues that crop up at any point here. I can decrease the train sound further. Options, audio, less train. I want music. I want some of the other effects, but like, it doesn't need to be exclusively train. That better levels of train? Yeah, combat in this game is sure technically a thing. It is probably one of the weaker aspects of the game, but it comes up so rarely that I don't mind it too much. It can be kind of fun, but it's a little bit more of a puzzle because your guns are bad and slow and overheat easily, and aiming is difficult and driving is difficult, so, you know, I'll run away from stuff a lot, especially since I'm very early in the game. This is our very first initial train with our very first initial captain, and our very first initial weapon. Yes, driving, I will admit, was worse in Sunless Seas. So something that I don't think was in that game, or you had to get an upgrade, but I can strafe. I can dodge now. It's great. Yeah, strafing is better. Makes it much easier to get out of the way of things that are attacking you. You can just use your little jets to go to the side. And once we get to London and get a little bit further in, right now I have no speed upgrades or anything to the train. I will get the ability to do full steam ahead, which is a hilarious little info card when you get that, but it'll let you go faster and run away from things better. Or some trains even let you do damage like by ramming things. It's kind of great. So we'll have lots of options a little bit later, but I don't have any money yet, or anything besides what they give you for free. Alright, so we are back to the Inconceivable Circus, which is one of the great early bits here. Oh, I bet we can get this guy now. We can, for I have Sky Stories. So we're gonna recruit another officer. He doesn't want money, he just wants stories. And he is another signaler, which, you know, we have a few of those on board already, but it's fine. More stories. When you accept him aboard, he pulls a grimy bottle of something, opaque and unidentifiable, from his inner coat pocket, and takes a long celebratory swig. "I hope you're not having second thoughts already," he says, and roars with laughter. He has no luggage to speak of, just the bindle over his shoulder and a fiddle in a battered leather case. Once he has slung both onto his bed, he heads to the galley and starts performing card tricks and telling ribald jokes at the crew. Most find him charming. Several make their apologies and abscond. They're down to only 2 Sky Stories. That's okay. We'll have many opportunities to get more of those later. And Mr. Menagerie is here. This is one of the Chyptopterus sorts. I bet we still can't afford any mask. Or no, this is scouts. So this would replace our Bat Scout with a scout who is better at stuff. But looks like all we can get from him today is a story. With 1 sovereign. Mr. Menagerie gestures to the spindle of rock that anchors the circus, like a stone weighting down an escaping balloon. "Once we gathered here, we held our bargains and boasted of our chiefs. Our bands displayed the finest of goods. Our magnanimity was as sharp as knives. All knew our worth. Then the light came. They made our grounds sport, a dancing place, a laughing place. They made bargains of their own, and now you do the same." It rasps in tones of mild reproach. We can't afford any pets quite yet, because we don't have a condemned experiment, or a searing enigma, or any of these other things. But these are nice later on. Our initial bat scout is fine, but it doesn't have anything special. These require good stats, and right now we don't have very high mirrors, so I don't know that we'd be able to use one of these at all. But they are very good, and they are a pretty significant upgrade. So this one can find 3 things. This can only find 1 thing, but it tells you everything. And this one just has a bigger range than our initial scouts, so you can find things a little bit more easily in the sky. But today, we will acquire nothing. Who's new at the circus today? Some people. Let's go to the circus. We don't need our officers right now. Go away. We will need another port report, because as was the case in Sunless Seas, always get port reports. They're the easiest way of getting money. And yeah, let's go to the circus. So we can... Where should we go? Should we go to a performance or the amusements? Performance. Alright. What wonders await us this evening? Probably not much. The tent is barely any more populated than the last show. The ringmaster does his best, fixing a wide grin under his mustache as he introduces what passes for the acts. The humiliated magician's attempt to saw his assistant in half comes to an unfortunate end. High above, the bereaved acrobat again performs their half of the routine for a tiny amount of applause. Afterward, the pensive clown trips into the spotlight, dropping the balls he juggles. It's silent enough to hear them hit the floor. It ends when the headstrong, strong woman lifts a very large barbell over her head. She repeats this several times when the crowd's reaction isn't as enthusiastic as she would have liked. The show ends to a smattering of reluctant applause. Alright, so we didn't really get too much from that because the performance is in fact not very good. It is, but we can fix it. Let's go talk to the ringmaster and see if we can help. The ringmaster looks relieved to see a familiar face. Oh, thank God. We've got a show to put on and one of my biggest acts is throwing a tantrum. No. He pauses, toying with his exquisitely managed mustache as he looks you up and down. I don't suppose you've ever considered stepping into the ring yourself? So, we could be a clown, a lion tamer, or an acrobat, or send our crew in. Or we could do nothing. Lots of choices here. Trying to remember which of these storylets I've seen before. Shall we be a lion tamer? This is a true statement. I don't think you could die in any of these storylets. Usually it warns us, but hey, why not? Let's be a clown. Dressed in motley and with a grease paint face, you do your best to entertain. The audience laughs at your pratfalls, some of them even deliberate. Afterwards, the ringmaster claps you on the shoulder. Excellent. Well, terrible. Never do that again. But please, come and see me behind the tents. And we get a whole bunch of sky stories from doing that, which is awesome. You know, we're great as a locomotive captain, we're just not so much, not so much as a clown. So we could go behind the tents now, which is new. Beyond the performers and the permanent audience, the circus is deserted. Everyone keeps to their quarters unless they're practicing the show. Despite the calliope music, the mood back here is closer to that of a mausoleum. Mausoleum. I can talk. I know what words are. Let's go visit the ringmaster's caravan. The ringmaster is sat on a fat cushion, idly shuffling a worn pack of playing cards. He smiles wearily at you. I asked the cards about you. He draws from the top of the deck, sets them on the table. They say you can help. He then places them back into the deck and bids you shuffle and draw for yourself. The cards are the same. He smiles the same weary smile. Looks like they haven't changed their minds. So, we can accept 4 commissions. We can repair the magician's props. We can find the acrobat's twin. We can purchase costumes for the clown. Well, for his geese. And we can post flyers for the strong woman. And I think we should take that one to start with. So, when we go to Port Avon, next we can try to visit the reclusive carpenter and get stuff fixed. And we can talk to everybody else here at the circus as well, but they don't have too much to say right now. We are gonna return to the main circus. And, we don't need any souls. We do need supplies. Rip my money. Alright. So where are we off to next? So we have a quest here. We have a quest over here. We have a quest here. New Winchester's always good for turning in port reports. Or we can go exploring and see what might be over here. But eventually our goal is to get either some barrels of ours or a ministry stamped permit. And at least get to Albion before we wrap up. But we've got a bit of time to do that. Where shall we go? Ooh, hopefully not directly into a wall. That would be good. You do still get damaged if you crash all the time. So I don't recommend crashing. Go to Magdalen's before we go to Port Winchester. Or New Winchester. You're totally fine. I have fun just hanging out and playing this game. No bonk damage. Not yet. I've been pretty good at not crashing, but we shall see whether that remains true or not. You can bonk the little ones, that's okay. the map tends to have, which might be a funny word for it, given that we were literally on the ocean, and we could, with the DLC, drive a submarine in the previous game. But I don't remember any of the parts of the sea like being as bright or as like multi-layered as the maps here are in the skies. So I really do think this game has a whole lot of improvements over the previous iteration. Although I really did like Seas as well. Just don't see much reason to revisit it at this point. No, don't fight me. Leave me alone. Shoot. Go away. Alright, let's go to Magdalene's. Another just beautiful, beautiful little port. Right. Let's start at the Keepsake Market. Don't need any more crew. Don't need the terror reduction right now. So let's, who needs money? Let's purchase an old journal. The nurses hand over your new purchase, warning you not to tell anyone where you found it. They add that there will likely be more offers like this very soon. So we've got ourselves a savage secret now. Let's go into the house itself. Speak with a watcher by the station. He stares at your crew as they disembark from your engine. He turns away when none emerge holding anything. He's clearly agitated. It's because we're level 4, and we don't have a special delivery from London. Apparently we can do something for him. Sorry, the man apologizes. I didn't mean to stare. It's just we've been waiting for a delivery from London. Really important supplies. I don't suppose you might be heading anywhere near the relay to Albion, would you? If you could check if anything's happened to it, we'd really appreciate it. So, if we go to the Albion transit relay, which we will at some point, we can pick up the delivery. But given that we want to go through the transit relay, I don't know that we'll deliver it all that quickly, but you never know. We'll see how long we stick around. Port report. Actually, I should check how many of these we have. I think we need 6 for something. And we can deliver our sky-maddened captain, who we rescued from a defeated marauder. The nurses bring a stretcher to carry the sky-maddened captain from your train. He'll receive the care of Magdalene's finest. At least, Magdalene's finest with a sense of charity, given that he has nothing on him to pay for their ministrations. So we have taken this guy to go get help. Hopefully we get a vision of the heavens for doing so, and a little bit of experience. So every once in a while, on the rare occasions where I actually do choose to engage in a space battle, we might get some passengers like this to take to places for various reasons. What is up with the amenable host today? Huh, he has another job for us as well. He is melancholy today, not to mention irritable. He has a job for you, he says, his voice rich with unhappiness. I admired your discretion earlier, he sighs. You've seen the dangers of our work upon those who abuse our service. Yet, we are not immune to it ourselves. He draws your attention to several paintings on the walls. My regulars have, at various points, requested that I be a prospector on Lustrum. heir to a fine house in Port Prosper, and a titan of industry on New Winchester. Very specific requests and more. I have vivid memories of being all three. Yet, all cannot be true, surely. He presses a locket into your hand. This bears my image. See if anyone remembers me. I can't remember who I was before this. If I could be other than I am, I'd like to know. So when we're in Lustrum, New Winchester, and Port Prosper, we can see if anyone recognizes our amenable host. Don't think there's anything we could get from observing. Yeah. They're selling bronzewood, but I don't need any now. Wouldn't hurt to have a little bit more fuel and supplies, though. Let's go this way now. We'll do a little bit of this more. Really? Okay. I've only docked at that port 3 times now. I'm not sure why I hadn't gotten the XP for discovering it, but it's cool. It's fine. Music change. That was abrupt. Not actually sure why the sound stopped like that. Maybe we've got different music now. Yep, are we? There's the sound. That was weird. The to hell and back. Alright then. I wish my veils was higher. But let's mourn the dead. Ooh, spiky. This is cool. Looks dangerous though. Probability that I run into something I really don't want to run into in this area? Distinctly non-zero. Doesn't seem like the port. I don't know what's back here. The music here is being spooky too. Oh. Leave me alone. Do not fight me. The guy is getting real deep here. This is spooky. this is the Mother of Mountains and Lestrum. I think it is snow. Oh, he got a graphic update. Interesting. He looks different now. Anyway, we've made it to Prospector's Quarter. The frantic, hustling heart of Lestrum, crammed with prospectors, peddlers, and purveyors of essential, and occasionally legal, services. Most business takes place here, unless you're a dreamer seeking your fortune on the claim fields. So we can recruit another officer, potentially? Yeah, we can hire the Fortunate Navigator. Really interesting. I'm not sure why they redid his portrait, but he looks a little different than I remember. You won't regret this, Captain. The Navigator pumps your hand. He is Imperial, a people descended from ancient Mongolians and led by the Eagle Khan, whose technology opened the door to the skies. A passing Skyfarer tousles the Navigator's hair. For luck, the woman says with a grin. The Navigator rolls his eyes. She's from my last crew. They thought I brought them luck. I didn't, but I'm still a good hire. And now we have the Fortunate Navigator as well. It's fine, we'll just hire everybody. I don't need to do anybody's particular stories, I'll just do all of them at the same time. It's chill. Alright, well, we certainly need a port report from Lestrum. Yeah, I haven't ever actually gotten very far in the Fortunate Navigator's storyline, so... But he does give a pretty decent boost to the stats. So much for the quiet retirement village that used to be here. The rush of prospectors has ripped the civility from the place as efficiently as the geodes from the mountainside. The scars that remain are no less vivid. Fewer and fewer prospectors return with geodes of ours, and the cost of processing them off-site grows every day. Still, for now, Lestrum thrives and offers the promise of riches for any lucky or industrious miner willing to come and risk everything in the snow and the mud. So, the Mother of Mountains here effectively is a gold rush, except, you know, in the sky. Gold, moderately useful. Hours, extremely useful. So they're literally mining time, crystallized time. Since we have this quest, and since we're apparently here, we're gonna search for the amenable host's identity. Their locket is passed around the camps of prospectors. Most scratch their heads. Others sigh and look away. An elderly prospector approaches, carrying her hat in her hands. "You're the one looking for Old Grey," she sighs. "Long dead, shot, south of the mountain. Wouldn't share his hours." Fool. No point in rising high on the mountain if there's no one at the bottom holding you up. So, no conclusive evidence of his identity here. We'll check the other two places. And let's explore since we've never been here before. Your boots crunch through the snow, clean and bright, lacking the lingering sadness of London's ammonia-suffused lacquer. The townspeople nod politely to you, a distinguished visitor, but avert their eyes from the grizzled prospectors and the get-rich quick merchants who have taken over their slice of civilization on the mountain. They wait impatiently for a day when the mountain has nothing more to offer, and the uncouth invaders finally leave, hoping that something still remains when all of the value has finally been plundered. So we can go to the pub. Oh look, another officer, the Rat Brigade. Do we have chief engineers yet, though? We do. We have the incautious driver. We don't have any quartermasters yet. I don't think these guys cost anything though, so we are gonna recruit them too. Why not? We may have to take a moment after we finish here at Lustrum to just talk to all of our officers and see what they want from us. Now that I have like 10. The smallest, most scarred rat is called Cinders. She introduces her companions. This, she indicates a rat wearing goggles, is my second, Petronella, our mechanic. She gestures towards a rat with glossy fur. And this is our agent provocateur, Albrecht. We need a locomotive. These battle-hardened rats are all that remains of the Rat Regiment, a mercenary company active during the early days of the Winchester War. Used to be a dozen of us, best sappers around, says Cinders. Now look at us. Time for that later. We'll pay, Captain. So, let's see. I don't know that I want to spend my money on a claim in Lustrum quite yet. I really want to buy a new train, and I'm gonna need a whole lot more cash to do so. So let's see who this figure in the corner is, and see what happens. The cloaked figure beckons to you. Valuables for sale, it wheezes, its voice throaty and high-pitched. Exchange for very time, yes? Please? It offers unusual relics in exchange, or a few rusted coins that would barely buy transport to anywhere else. So this is Mr. Penny's, like Mr. Menagerie. It is one of the... I think they're called the hosts? I have to double check. I know some Fallen London lore, but less than I should. But these are, the bats. Everything ends, the figure wheezes. Even law. For everything, a reckoning. Need help, need hours. Postpone reckoning. Shadows with thistle ropes and broken wings waiting on the riverbank to catch final breath. Everything dies. Must outlast. We trade, yes? Trade hours? We trade hours now, yes? Good quality merchandise. But, unfortunately, we have no hours with which to trade. But perhaps not. There's also the counting house. Sweet Jane would like us to hunt London locomotives and bring their nameplates, but given that we are still very poorly equipped to actually do any sort of combat, we're not going to agree to this right now. We could always come back later and change our minds. And this is one of the ways that we'll be able to influence the Winchester War. Effectively, there are two factions still kind of duking it out in the Reach, and we can side with one or the other, or neither. And the state of the world will change a little bit based on the choices we make. We could also go to the tea shop and enjoy a lovely cup of tea. We are going to go with the Empress's flavor for now. Get rid of our terror, which is always nice, especially when we're this far out. And let's talk to Mulisine Murgatrioth. She has a workshop that we can go look at. Mulisine glows with pride as you examine her most untested inventions. The clockwork lens array offers superhuman levels of telescopic sight, provided you insert all 6 sharp brass hooks under your eyelids. The internal combustion privy, ideal for handling unpleasant waste products and warming whatever's left of your house after the inevitable explosion. A automated pickaxe capable of striking Earth 7 times a second. Mostly nods, irritated. Pity about the, minor bone-shattering issue. The only thing she won't let you poke at is at a twisted arrangement of glassware and electricity in the corner. That's, not mine. Not entirely. I'm still working on that. Complicated. You know if you know. If you don't, I shouldn't say. So that's something that, depending on how we build our captain, we may be able to pursue further. Um, but I don't seem to be able to with this captain's background. Return to the shop. Return to the town. There's, the Windward Company is here. And, yeah, so the company hangs out here for now. We may be able to go there someday if, we side with the, company. If we side with the Tackities, maybe something different will happen here. But for right now, we've sided with no one. And, I don't think we're gonna go look for the singing caves. Even with my 37 iron, I only have a 22% chance of success with this, which is very bad, and I don't have that many supplies. So I think instead we will, see about buying a few more and make our way elsewhere. And then maybe talk to some of our new officers, because goodness do we have a lot of officers now. Look at all of them. So, we can talk to our incognito princess, who loves stories of daring do and abyssal horror. So, we have one tale of terror and one sky story. Thrilled by your tales, the princess invites you to her quarters. I have a secret, she says, removing her tiara before donning a second, more expensive tiara. I am Queen Victoria's daughter, she says. I trust your discretion? It's a considerable ask. This must be the captivating princess, the daughter of Victoria, who dwells in a miasma of rumors of excess, ranging from red honey to cannibalism. Half asphyxiated starling has somehow found its way aboard. It flies to her hand, and she pats it gently. One is traveling to broaden one's mind before one takes on a new role. It would be a delight to meet with the engineers who keep the eternal ball of perdurance tick-tocking away. She smiles, and you find yourself outside. So she wants to go to perdurance. That is what she cares about right now. We need tea to get to know this guy particularly well, but let's converse with him anyway. I'm, settling in nicely, thank you, Captain. You've a good crew here, and a sharp one. The navigator has already visited every crew member at their station. Our fatalistic signalman, we can also give him some tales of terror, see if he's interested in talking to us about anything. Soon you are engaged in dismal competition. You raise the sad fate of Parliament and the tragic disappearance of the HML Parzival. He counters with a story of his own past. I, worked on the Isbad line. It's meant to ring round the whole reach. Chain of accelerators and hour funnels to speed locomotives between the outer ports. Doomed from the start it was. Some say cursed, but I reckon building a road around the sky is just bloody difficult. It were never finished. He slurps his tea. I'd like to take a proper tour of the Reach. See exactly how stupid we were. So he wants 6 port reports. Which actually, we're pretty close to that. I'll have to look and see how many we have right now. And he also has business in London if we find ourselves there. Nothing new with our devil. What is up with our amiable vagabond? He can usually be found in good spirits and good company, gambling, laughing, playing a tune. Failing that, he will be deep in conversation with some cornered crew member or other, quizzing them about their personal history with every sign of genuine interest. If left alone, he grows restless. He sleeps late and rises early, eager to be amongst the crew once more. We could tell him stories, or we can ask for a song. Get a song. The vagabond's fiddle is scuffed and scratched. It looks like it's been broken several times and pieced back together inexpertly. And yet, the tune he coaxes from it is a soaring, searing, soul-stinging lament. It reminds you of precious things you'd nearly forgotten, and raw things you'd rather forget. By the time the vagabond is finished, he has tears in his eyes, and so do half the crew. The silence rings like a bell. Then the vagabond laughs, and the spell is broken. Then we'll share some stories with him as well. The vagabond's stories are often feature larger-than-life characters from his loose community of vagrants. People with names like Sooty Jim or the Chimney Kid, and who collectively call themselves Skylarks. They hitch rides on locomotives, sometimes without permission, and scrounge a living from port to port. I'm their king, says the vagabond without humility. I taught half of 'em how to tie a bindle. He pauses, sipping from his flask. We hold monthly meetings at Port Avon. Should accompany me to the next one. You'll never meet a more interesting bundle of folks. So, another quest in Port Avon. Next time we find our way there. Chief Incautious Driver, we've actually done a few parts of his their personal quest already. They were messing with their ear. There was like a green tendril coming out of their ear. And when we took them to the doctor at New Winchester, they were diagnosed with the verdancy, which is a fungal growth because, fallen linden. So let's see how they've been since their appointment. The incautious driver paces back and forth, clicking their tongue. Must have been the crash in the nature reserve. My father sent me there to take up a nice, quiet job. I always did love botany, but when they pulled me from the wreckage, I had new dreams to follow. I thought they were mine. Now, how can I be sure? A new resolve washes over their face when they turn back, eyes sharp and sparkling with a flicker of emerald. Either way, I know where I have to go. Old Tom's Well. Give me the wheel, Captain. I have an appointment to keep. So the well lies to the west-southwest of New Winchester. Not quite sure where that is yet. We've never been to Old Tom's Well, but I'm pretty sure it's spooky there. And finally, Rat Brigade, and then we will go places and do things again. Let's talk to them with my secret. Thunders lights a cigar.
Our Sarge kicked the bucket in the blockade, but the night before, he told like each of us he'd left something in a vault. Old sod must have been loaded. Thing is, we need his account number to get it. He gave part of it to each of us, so there'd be no thieving. Hence our predicament. That last mission, our lieutenant sold us out. Half the squad died, and the rest scattered. Took the numbers off the dead, but we need to find the survivors of the company. Between us, we have the number. And we still have to find the vault.
Thunder's grinds her yellow teeth in frustration.
Sarge kept some stuff at Carillon. Doubt it's the vault, but might be a clue.
She cocks her head.
50 sovereigns for a trip to Carillon then?
So, yeah, we need to find Caroline for them. But looks like we can talk to Albrecht first. Albrecht is polishing his claws.
Sarge casts a long shadow. He assembled us at Zizart.
It's hard to talk in this accent. Sarge casts a long shadow. He assembled us at the start of the Winchester War.
The best fighting rats who came through the avid horizon. He made us a unit.
He adjusts his whiskers.
But we had no respect. We were expendable. To get better contracts, we had to be respectable. So he found a rodent of officer class to lead us. Part hamster, I think. He sighs. And that's where it all went wrong. He lapses into silence, and will say no more.
So with that is all our officers. Let's keep going and see what we can find now that we are well off where I expected us to be. We are not on the beaten path, even a little bit. This is a very scary section of the sky. I have no walls. I have no idea where we are. Whee! Oh, there's a wall. Off we go. Oh no. Oh jeez. Oh, leave me alone. I don't want to fight you, Iraqis. Oof. Ouch. Where are we going? Hey, there's a port. Hello. Don't fight me. How do I get there from here? No. It's a train. That's the thing I can say about it, is, it's a train. Not a fast train. It's not a fancy train. I'm only moderately successful at driving it in most circumstances. Ah, jeez. This isn't where I want to be. Ah, this is spooky. No, I'm leaving. I've taken a wrong turn. The sky's turning red and there's a scribe spinster. I don't like it here. Leave me alone. So, yeah, there's something grave and a horror here. So, we'll come back to that later. I don't know how to get to this port, but we're gonna... Well, maybe I do have to go this way. Scary things. Oh, yikes. Spooky, spooky, spooky. Just wanna leave. shit. Oh no. No, don't fight me. Oh no. Let me go. I'm running away. I'm leaving. Yeesh. Nope, don't like any of that. Eee, run away. Luckily, none of the enemies turn on a dime either, so it was facing the wrong way. But oof, I've definitely taken a wrong turn. Alright, let's try to get to that port this way. Because I do want to go to that port. I think it's Carillon. And I have a lot of reasons to go to Carillon. But I don't want to fight Scarf Spinsters to get there. Because they're mean. Game, why are you jittery? Calm down. I will be very disappointed if the port is not Carillon, but I'm quite sure it is. Because while the tiles of the map can get rearranged, the ports on the tiles are the same. It's not a totally random map. So I actually do kind of know where I'm going. I'm pretty familiar with the Reach. Oh, well, mostly familiar with the Reach. But yes, this is Carillon. Oh, we have a stowaway. Something is amiss. Things are out of place. Unexplained cracker crumbs on the pantry floor, the chief engineer's favorite wrench hung on the wrong hook, several empty pages torn from the back of your logbook. The crew protest their innocence and contribute their own stories. Vanished shoelaces, doors left open, oily footprints on a doorframe. You have a stowaway. So let's conduct a thorough search. Let's see who's here, because I certainly don't have any tales of terror to work with. I use those all talking to my officers. Hey! Get in that 42% chance of success. After an hour, an indignant storker drags a sooty-faced urchin before you. Found her hiding in a supply crate in the hold. She had a right little treasure trove in there, too. Cutlery from the galley, Jones' Bible, and my best socks. He brandishes a horrible pair of socks. The stowaway picks her nose defiantly. The urchin wears an oversized Skyfarer's coat, clumsily and drastically hemmed at the sleeves and tails. Her eyes are pale, accustomed to starlight. A muddle of old frostbite blemishes one cheek. When she speaks, her voice seems older than the rest of her. What is she? 12? 13? So, we can ask her why she's here. She shrugs. Just catching a ride, she says insolently. I've been catching engines across the Reach in Albion for years. Seen half the sky I have. Port Proster to the Silent Saint. Skyhenge to Carillon. She looks at her shoes, mismatched and scuffed. Gone. In the blockade of New Winchester during one of the bombardments. She breaks off. Anyway, neighbor tried to look after me, but I didn't like her much. She's a bit taken aback by the question of what she wants. No one's ever asked before. Usually there's a lot of shouting, then I'm chucked off at the next port. She thinks about it, looking around the bridge. She's a good engine. Loyal. I'd like to stay. Till such times I don't. So we could choose. Can either keep her on as a mascot, or we can let her leave. She's one of my favorite characters. I love the Skywarn urchin. I pretty much always let her stay. Well, actually? She salutes you inexpertly. You won't regret it. I can help out, like, I know my way around an engine, and I'm no stranger to the sky. I know stuff. I could teach you. Perhaps another time, you tell her. You shake her grubby hand and send her to bed. It's past her bedtime. There she is. There's our mascot, our Skywarn urchin. I've adopted a child. It didn't take very long. Alright, let's dock at this point. Hey, Caroline! This peaceful, Carmine institution was founded by devils from London and dedicated to the betterment of the soul. Broderidge's A Tour of Heaven describes it as a cross between a spa, a sanatorium, and purgatory. She commends its bracing airs. There's so much stuff that we could do at Caroline, including, as always, a port report. You take some notes on a pilgrim's journey through Caroline. The first port of call is the beehive-shaped office in the center, or, more accurately, the long queue leading to it. From there, the infernal attendants direct them to one of Caroline's 7 gardens to undergo penances. They certainly look penitent by the time they emerge. Presumably, their souls are much improved. Not that you can tell. We can ask about Sarge's stuff. She glances up when you enter. The presiding deviless glances up when you enter her office. On noticing the rat brigade, her eyebrow raises a fraction. We've never satisfactorily answered the question of rodent souls. How can I help you? She addresses you and ignores the rats. It transpires that the deviless is able to locate Sarge's file in remarkably swiftly. She does not hand over the slim folder, but reads it in silence. There. I knew he'd specified something. That those who came looking for that which he entrusted to us must first undergo penance. To avoid a repetition of his mistakes, you'll acquire a shift in perspective that can be gained in the checkerboard garden. Before you can take the first step towards one of the terraces, a devil blocks your way. Not yet, I'm afraid. You must have permission from the presiding deviless. Some of our procedures are exceedingly delicate. We need to be certain you comprehend what you're seeing. He turns you in the direction of the center of Caroline. I'm sure she'll make time to see you. Oh yes, I mean, most of Fail Better games are just, acquire the MacGuffins. Here, we will give you an entire inventory's worth of MacGuffins. These are the MacGuffins which I have thus far acquired. I will need more. The presiding deviless works in an office shaped like a beehive, a stone and work building that stands all alone in the middle of Caroline's central courtyard. She conducts intake interviews with new patients one by one. After a long time in line, you reach her at last. Greetings, Captain. How may we stretch, strain, purify, and strengthen you, now that you've come to Caroline? So we can ask about this place. We do whatever is necessary to reclaim unsatisfactory souls, she says. She sits back in her chair, and you can imagine her making just such a pitch to the princes of hell. For humans primarily, although we do attend to a few other creatures elsewhere on the Great Chain, they come to us with souls that are stained, disused, in every kind of sordid condition, and we make them acceptable again. Most of those who come to us are volunteers. The rest are beyond the position of being able to volunteer, consigned to Caroline by their families or employers. And after a stay, then what? Most people go home again, she says. Some find that they are weary of their souls and pass them on to us. We operate on that slender profit, and from what we can get from donations or from sales of penance and forgiveness. She looks at a blank page before her. But what about you? You look sturdy enough to make full use of our services. Are you afraid of needles? What is your view on worms? Which do you fear more, venoms or poisons? She takes down a page or two on all your least favorite things. Listen to a proposal and gain access to the terraces of Caroline. Listen, she says, you are free to make use of Caroline. Take a penance or two, alter your soul. I think you'll find our services very imaginative. But there is another matter I hope you'll look into. A devil in rose-colored glasses. He used to supervise the Gaslight Terrace. He was removed from that position, but I fear he may not be entirely aligned with the objectives of Caroline. If you could find out anything about him, anything to his disadvantage, bring me the evidence, and I will reward you. Alright, so we've done that MacGuffin. So now we are permitted to go travel about. We needed what? A shift of perspective? Yeah, we need a shift of perspective. I could spend literally hours doing quests here in Caroline. We are not going to do so today. I had hoped we were going to make it beyond the breach. We will see how quickly I can speed through the few things that I wanted to get to. We can travel relatively cheaply back and forth between here and the next area I want to go to. So it's not a big deal if we leave a lot of stuff undone. That being said, we have a lot of driving time as well, so let's see what we can do. We can consider the rubbery man. No, we just need a shift of perspective. Ah yes, I'm very good at this. Well, we can try. It didn't work. But the only consequence looks to be a bit of terror, and given that we were at none, we could do this a couple times before I'm too worried about it. Oh, come on. Give it to me, game. Let me have one. Alright. I don't want to get my terror too high. So we're gonna come back and get that at a time where hopefully we actually have some of that stat. So we're gonna leave that alone for now. Gonna sell off 2 of my Chorister Nectar Gourds. They have a prospect where they want 5, but I do want to take one with us to Port Prosper, which I think is where we'll go next after we finish at New Winchester. So let us sell off those. Get some dollary-doos. Or, you know, we can cheese it, apparently. Not worthwhile. How much do we actually get per? We get literally double per. Okay, right, we're doing it this way. Every once in a while, the game is very silly. Which leaves me still 1 in my hold. So, excellent. We have what we need. It is not that far to New Winchester. We can probably get there with what we've got now. Is there anything else I wanted to do at Caroline? No, I don't think so. We'll deal in modifying our soul and gaining penances a little bit later. For now, I wish to keep flying. And I don't really want our terror to get too much higher than that right now if I can avoid it. So, we want to make a pretty straight shot right back down to the company house or victory hall. And away from all the terrible spooky stuff that was over here. I did not enjoy that. Now we're gonna leave the shiny alone. I don't need it. I've driven too far. Try not to just drive directly into the wall. That would be quite embarrassing. Right. Sky is starting to lighten, be less full of snow, so hopefully we're getting close to New Winchester. I believe we are. Yep. Clamor of New Winchester can be heard on the wind, familiar as a disagreeable uncle. Should be right down here. Although, before we turn in our port reports, let me just see which ones we have. Let me see which port reports I have. Possessions? Possessions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, isn't that just lovely? I don't think he actually takes them up, so I think I can still trade them for money as well. But let's do this quest for the fatalistic signalman before we go. And with that train whistle, I do believe we've leveled up as well. He stiffens as you approach, as if you've got him doing something he shouldn't. People outside the trade don't understand how signaling works. Every port, every corner of the sky, has its own signs and messages. It's a right mess. I've been cataloging them. Semaphores, the lamp languages, the badges, and passphrases. Not that anyone will ever read it. He puts the pages into his holdall, suddenly embarrassed. Anyway, I've been meaning to ask. Traveling has stirred up old memories. Like to visit a friend at London. I will find her at the Steam and Sapphire Yards. She won't remember me, but I should try. And we can learn a little bit more about him now as well. How did you come to work on the Ismabard line? Misfortune, I suppose. Tried to join the Navy. Wanted to do my bit. So I go down to the recruitment office, sign all their papers, answer all their questions. Halfway through the physical, doctor just stops, packs his things away. Can't admit you, he says. Why not, I ask. Reckon I'll exercise again? A bit, try again in a few months, see? Your heart beats irregular, says the doctor. First time a shell goes off within earshot, you'll drop dead. And that's how I learned I had a weak heart. Had to rethink my plans after that. Yay! So level up. They've really upgraded the level up system. This is new to Sovereign Edition, and I'm really, really into it. It's a much cleaner way of figuring out what facets you've already taken and what they do. So you can see the story bits and choices you've chosen for your background, which is great. And we have a new one that we are able to take. And unlike before where you just had access to all of them at any time, it's updated so now they cycle through. So it'll give you a random selection to start, and then once you pick one, it'll randomly replace it. But you can't just pick from anything. You can't min-max the same way as you could before, so it's a little bit more story-driven, which I'm a fan of. I like this. So we can take a Scandal, Metamorphosis, August Adventures, Steam and Suit, or an Interlude in Red and Gold. I think we are going to do August Avenues. You spent your youth in stuffy sitting rooms and chandeliered parlors. Hush, and you can still hear the delicate sound of silver spoons on china cups. You were not ungrateful, but your life was hedged by bounds of civility and expectation. You had to disobey sometimes to discover who you were. When you had to rebel, how did you do it? Secretly and occasionally, or openly and frequently. So, for the being better at veils, I would pick secretly and occasionally, but in the interests of the way this character is shaping up, our first captain here, I am gonna say openly and frequently. A cage is a cage, whether it's gilded or not. You were punished, of course, but it didn't stop you. So there we are, level 5. Alright, let's go turn on our port reports. Pick up a minister stamped permit, I think. Will be a little bit cheaper than the barrels of ours. And see about London. Or Albion. I don't know if we'll make it all the way to London, but we can definitely make it to Albion. That's not the dock button. There we go. So let us turn in our port reports to the Prudent Secretary. I'm rich. It is a comfortable room for a modest secretary. Stained glass windows lay crimson slants across the desk. The Prudent Secretary receives your reports and reads them one by one. A number of questions follow, to which the Secretary expects cogent, succinct answers. Her Majesty is grateful, they say, as you leave. So, we've aligned ourselves somewhat strongly with the stovepipes thus far, and not so much with the tackities, but not enough that I expect too much to change in the Reach quite yet. But we'll see. They certainly could. I want a minister stamped permit, please. Yay! Let's grab 2. And we can also get ourselves an invitation to Perdurance, which isn't a bad thing, because we'll need that eventually for the princess, if we decide to go pursue her quest further. And let's grab a gossip as well. Never know when you're gonna need some saloon stewed gossip. So that is all from the Windward Company. Let us then continue all. If I wanted to rebalance them, I could take my next set of port reports over here to Victory Hall and keep them pretty well balanced, but right now I don't care that much. Not much has actually happened. Now I'm in London. lots of things we can do here, most of which I don't currently care about, but we can certainly search for the amenable host identity. The initial search is fruitless. People giggle at the antiquated fashion on the display in the daguerreotype, the tilt of the jaw, the unfortunate arrangement of hair, but the proprietor of the round table seems to recognize the face. Oh yeah, great sod he was. She holds the locket up to catch the falling starlight through a window. Wanted to open a factory here a few years back. Something went wrong, and there was a workers' revolt. Not been seen since. And then we can also meet with the persnickety factor. The meeting takes several days to arrange. She rejects the round table as a venue and all of the cafes in the upper district, even that nice tea room under the bridges. Eventually, you agree upon a parlor at the company house, which is open to visitors on a Sunday. The persnickety factor requests you change table 3 times before she is satisfied. I'm looking for several disappeared colonists. I believe their destination was Hybris. I'd be much appreciative if you were to take me there. She wishes to go to Hybris. Which is interesting. I wonder how that will interact with our other quest at Hybris, this retiring filmmaker. I don't know if you can do them both. We'll find out. We can do that. Get some prospects, get ourselves some dollary dues, more fuels and supplies. We are not able yet to get a train, and we are certainly not able to get this thing. This is the fanciest of trains. So shiny. But we don't have that much quite yet. We would only have enough for this one, which honestly isn't a huge improvement over what we've currently got. More hull is nice, but less hold is rough. It's not super fuel efficient. I think we'd be better served with either a Pelennor or a Bedivere. I personally really like the Bedivere. That's what I use. Used a good chunk of the time in my previous run. I want both of those. I think for now we stock up on fuel, supplies, and we go to Fort Prosper. We'll worry about everything else at a later time. I can go for maybe another half hour, maybe a little bit more today, before I've gotta, you know, do normal things like grab some food and got some stuff going on later this afternoon, so it'll be a relatively short, just a 2.5 hour stream today. But I am hoping to do this more consistently, probably not at this time. Usually I'll have work, but I was able to take this afternoon off. But moving forward, I'm hoping for Friday evenings to be a fairly regular time where I stream this and maybe some other games. Yes, this anomaly needs some foods. Not yet. It's only 3:30 right now, but turns out food takes time to cook. Mysterious. I shan't be able to stay forever. getting towards the point in the game where I actually know some of these passageways well enough to have relative security. Which, of course, as we're about to head to Albion, is going to become completely untrue because I'm not going to know where anything is. Yes, we must stop at this wonder, the memorial to the unknown rat. Decrease our terror. Look at this beautiful work of sculpture in the sky. Take a moment to admire. Where are we going? So it looks like at this point we've discovered almost all of the reach. There's probably one more thing over here. I think this is the woods. But other than that, we've actually done a pretty good job of exploring the reach and finding all the ports and places we can go here. So actually this is a pretty good time to move on and start exploring a new area anyway. Even though I would have preferred potentially to upgrade our engine first. Yes, ostensibly. What's happening here? We will mourn the dead. Will we get attacked by something? Oh jeez, it's one of these. I do not like these. Look at that creepy nonsense. Leave me alone. Do not. Go away, guests. Guests are the worst. They're so spooky. Interesting side effect of having the train sound so quiet, though. Those make a really spooky sound when they first appear. And it appears that it's controlled by the same audio slider, so instead of leaping out of my skin every time a guest shows up, they're not as spooky without sound. So yay for that. We're in the sky. This is the sky. It's just, you know, complicated. It's just not necessarily as I think it is. So, alright, let's stop in Port Prosper. People's here. What's going on? We need a port report. We always need a port report. The llamas... Yeah, Port Prosper is loud. Let's join the fair. All the sights and sounds of a day at the fair in London. Genuine rubbery lumps sold by the cartful. Icons of Mayor's past, from Dick Whittington to Sinning Jenny, line the streets. A Ferris wheel offers paying customers the chance to survey the heights of Port Prosper. Side stalls speckle the side streets, manned by gamblers and mountebanks. Mountebanks? Words. The main streets offer popular games and diversions, watched over by a number of burly guards from the factories. So we can delve into the side stalls, stick to the main stalls, or there's the inadvisably large dog. What do you think? Which of the three? I suspect I know which one you will pick. Side stalls, main stalls, big dog. I suspected big dog would in fact be the selection made. 74% chance of success. Let's get one inadvisably large dog. Success! A dog of colossal proportions, golden as a lick of pale nectar, comes stampeding through the stalls, crashing into displays, tripping bystanders. Menace in the body of a long-tailed, velvet-nosed, stuffed toy. You move into the canine's trajectory, arms wide, The dog takes it as an invitation to pounce, bowling you over and subsequently half drowning you in slobber. The locals are only too happy for you to lead the animal away, especially when they discovered that no one knows who he belongs to, where he came from, and why they've tolerated him for so long. The inadvisably large dog is now aboard our engine. And yes, you have become predictable. I have been with you when we have seen a dog. You must pet every dog. As long as the odor and dog. It is the under version of Clifford. Or the over version, we are in the sky. But yes, it's great. I love the dog. We could talk to the dog. They're on our ship now. We can pat the dog. If goodness requires that things are not destroyed in a creature's wake, this dog is probably not a good dog. Nevertheless, merely asking the questions causes it to ascend into a riot of joy. Your slippers will never be the same again. But it's a rare sight to see something in the high wilderness so innocently happy. I love the dog. Always get the dog whiff offered the dog. Even helps with our ire. And it's not like we have to give up our urchin to get our dog, but we're gonna give our dog a hat. And now we have a dog. Alright. So that was exciting. We can actually do something else at the fair too. We don't just have to get the dog. Let us hang out in the main stalls. Carnival barkers accost you with promises of wonderful kaleidoscopes that'll show you visions of life on the frontier. Old sky captains have been wheeled out to tell tall tales of life out in the Reach. Daring escapes predominate, their reasons for retiring in Port Prosper are left undisclosed. Several acquaintances catch up with you by the bridge and you promenade together, taking in the sights and sounds of the main stalls, while avoiding the smells from the side streets. So, the West Enders now like us, the East Enders don't really have any opinion on us. And we can also search for the amenable host identity. Not a soul in Port Prosper recognizes the locket. Who's that then? Does he still wear his hair like that? Fancy! Become familiar refrains. More promising is the house you saw painted in the amenable host chamber. You locate several candidates, apparently all repainted over in the last couple of years, but one is in the exact location as in the host's painting. No one seems to remember who owned it or why, but apparently it had once been associated with the Parlor of Virtue, established not long after Port Prosper's foundation. So, no conclusive evidence of the host's identity here either. And I believe we did. So we have the materials as well to fix the Albert clock. You are paid extremely well for the delivery, and the foreman shakes you warmly by the hand. Won't take us no time now, he says with a grin. Maybe we should name the damn clock after you, eh? So, we're getting there. Good amount of money. So I've gained a little bit of reputation with the Windward Company, and lost a little bit with the Tackities, for hanging out basically in the company, which is fine. I'm going a little bit more posh this run anyway. We can align ourselves with the Queen sometimes. We'll do this later. I want to save my stories for now. We're gonna buy a little bit more gas, a little bit more supplies, because I do not know where we're going. Once we travel beyond the reach here with our last few minutes. But this is cool. I really like this. This is one of the things that really makes this game stand out from its predecessor. And, yeah, it's very neat. So the Albion Transit Relay, a stone edifice scintillant with sigils, is encased in a contrivance of steel and brass. This is a Singh-Jenkins relay, allowing transport, via a loophole in some cosmic mandate, across the sunless wastes to a far-flung district of heaven. This one leads to Albion, the heart of the new British Empire and the seat of Her Renewed Majesty, Queen Victoria. So, let's check on this delayed package from Magdalen's. The board custom official is glad to clear some space in their cramped office. As long as they don't want to travel between regions without the appropriate paperwork, they couldn't care much less about the cargo. This package has been serving double duty as a card table for the last week, but now it's yours, and the people of Magdalen's will be glad to receive it. Except we are taking it 100% the wrong way, but that is fine. We've collected the goods. So, we can either submit our paperwork or try to bribe him. I feel I've needed 3 of these. That'd be unfortunate. I know, you paperwork. Should we do bribery? It might fail. And then we can always do it the other way if we need to. Now the nice thing is you unlock these once and you keep it throughout your lineage. So if for some reason this captain died, we won't have to do this again. We'll just have a travel permit. Get that 28% chance of success. Heck yeah. Your generous donation to the Relay Workers Christmas Fund is gratefully accepted. Although you notice that it is at no time recorded in any ledger. The superintendent is happy to present you with a little booklet of bright blue, your travel permit. Oh yeah, don't worry, I'll fail a 98% chance of success later, so it'll be fine. Alright, let us present ourselves to customs. Fail better, XCOM, anything with percentages where it's like, this should be a straightforward check. Never. Not once. 0% of the time. Also, XCOM is a game maybe I'll play on stream sometime. I like that game. It's been a while. A pinch-faced inspector boards the ship with their retinue. Come on, hurry up. If you've got nothing to hide, you've got nothing to fear. Their mouth cracks into something almost, but not entirely, like a smile. Nothing from me, at least. I have nothing to hide and nothing to fear, because there is no contraband in the breach. The pinch-faced inspector almost looks disappointed at having to give you a clean bill of passage. Such a waste of time, they mutter, stamping the customs forms. Go on, no reason to take up space here. Nope, no contraband. Let us go. Alright, we've made it through customs. We are at the sigil relay. We do not have barrels of unseasoned hours, but we do have ministry stamped permits and a Reach Albion transit permit, which means let us travel first class to Albion. At the sight of your papers, the superintendent jumps to activate the relay. Its hour looms rumble, spinning the pocket of new time, in which your locomotive will make its journey. Wrapped in your engine's new code of hours, it will be hard to say how long the journey takes, but the hours used by Imperial officials are languid and seasoned. The passage should be at least tolerable. The machine grinds and stirs, the steam vents. The sigils of the edifice burn with sullen fire. A force like a great hand seizes your engine.
go. Welcome to the Albion. We know nothing. We have no idea where we are or where we're going. So let's see if we can find a port, and then I will probably call it there for today. Luckily, I stocked up before we left, so even if it takes us a little while, we should be okay. So now for something completely different. Maybe we'll find 2 ports. I don't actually expect there to be one, like, right here. Where are we? Brabazon. Such efficiency, such moral apathy. The people should be taking notes. Are we near Brabazon? Where are we? Oh, it says there's a port, though. There is a port. Oh, would you look at that? Is it the bit between? This is the bit between. Excellent. We'll find another port. This one doesn't count. More officers! How much do you cost? You just want stories. That's not bad. A hulking clay man in a heavy coat stands on the platform. The clay men were an underclass in old London. Very few of them came to the skies. This one holds an urn to his chest. You're a captain. You can perform funeral rites, he says, nodding to the urn in his arms. Then I want to travel. He pauses for a long moment, and then, as if feeling something more might be expected, I could help out on your engine. You ask the conductor where he would like to hold the ceremony. He looks about confused, as if he hadn't expected the question. At last he comes to a conclusion. Here will do, he says, indicating the crowded thoroughfare. You and a few more respectable of your crew gather for a brief funeral. Everyone has at least something in black. You offer the expected phrasings before pausing for the eulogy. The clay conductor shakes his head. You do it. So we could either make him speak, or we could just make something up. We don't know who's in the urn, but that's not important, I'm sure. We're gonna make it up. You render up a bounty of platitudes, benign wishes to the beyond, and mullen remembrances to departed friends. The conductor frowns stonily, realizing he needs to give you at least something to work with. He could sing. He manages. You work a line about a man of clay with the voice of an angel into the eulogy. The conductor seems satisfied. Where's your engine? I'm ready to assume my duties. The conductor picks up the urn and heads off in the direction you point. So now we have more officers. And we can go to the bit between. So we can travel to Little Nice. There isn't actually very much here at Little Nice, but it's here. We can't even really get a port report here. Little Nice isn't very interesting. The overseers here work hard to ensure Little Nice remains perfect, from the freshly painted fence curricles to the newly mown grass of the lawn.
it's hard to get a sense of what's going on in Brazabon from your current curated surroundings. The overseers themselves are no use. They must have been briefed. Each gives you clearly sanitized information. You only have to speak to 4 before you hear a repetition. You'll have to go down to the work world itself to learn anything true about Brabazon. So, go back here. I don't really want to go into the work world right now. I'd rather keep exploring and see if we can find something else, but we'll come back here later. This is a pretty interesting little storylet to do stuff on the Brabazon work world. I am good on fuel. I'm good on supplies. Let's keep going. Let's go this way. Oh no. Come on, computer, you can do it. Okay, and my stream does appear to still be live, and my computer is doing what it's supposed to be. We had a few hiccups at the end of the last one, so that is all good to see. London, you're so difficult to navigate. Why are you like this? It is a very, very different sort of area. What is that? Spooky sounds are happening. What was I saying? Oh, just this is a very different sort of environment than the Reach was. Most of the areas in the Reach were not super developed, very, you know, nice open landscapes. Right now we are, looks like, in the thick of London, so it's mostly smog. You move to space and nothing changes. But as we get more towards the edges and some of the more interesting places here in London or in Albion, there are a few just absolutely fascinating parts of this area. Actually, what was that? Do I know what this is? Something. Thank you, Bat. Hello, random encounter. Due to undermanning, one of your crew cabins sits empty. But a story has taken root amongst the crew that something sleeps there on nights when the wind howls. Something that leaves frost on the bed sheets. Some of the crew have begun raiding the pantries to leave bowls of food outside the cabin doors. Your cook complains. So, we can discipline our crew. We can force someone to sleep in the empty cabin. We can sleep there ourselves to prove there's nothing to fear. Or we can let them have their superstition. I have awesome odds on any of these, but I don't actually know that I've seen this storyline before. Sleep there ourselves and see what happens. We might die, but probably not. Try as you might, you can't get a wink of sleep in the empty cabin. The winds are restless and it's too cold. An insistent cold that doesn't care how many blankets you pile on top of yourself. There are fail risks, but there are also sometimes fail benefits. In the end, you return to your own cabin with a snatch of a couple hours sleep, and creep back into the vacant one before first watch. Frosty fingerprints speckle the doorknob. Inside, the blankets on one of the bunks are rigid with frost. So we've gained terror because we failed. but we've also gained a tale of terror. And we do want stories. So, you know, it was bad, but it's also okay. I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Not really sure why there's spooky ghosty fingerprints in our space train here. So we'll find out more about that later. I feel like we went past a port, but I did not see a port. Or whatever this was. Oh no, it's in a different alleyway of London. What vinegar lumber company? Oh, here it is. What's this? The Wit and Vinegar Loading Dock. Wit and Vinegar Lumber Company operates primarily in the Reach, mining bronzewood and transporting it back to London for construction, furniture, and locomotive plating. The workers give you unsympathetic stares. We're trying to work. It ain't safe for tourists. That wasn't the right accent at all. So, nothing we can do right now at Wit and Vinegar, but maybe that'll change. Also give me an opportunity to save. Since the game was acting a little bit weird. A couple days ago when we were playing. Okay, here we go. The vagabond inhales a hearty dose of smog. Good for the lungs, Captain. Let's go up this one with the green lights. Other trains and other docks. Or stations. But we can dock at this one. This is probably the last dock we will visit for today. Because we have made it to London. St. Dominic's Station is thick with crowds. A brass band plays. The cause of the excitement is an unfamiliar locomotive in imperial blue. A delicate, gleaming craft whose elongated nose houses an array of lenses. A top-hatted official from the Ministry of Public Decency is delivering a speech. The first of a new fleet of new monitor-class locomotives. They will be Her Majesty's watchdogs, scouring the skies for the enemies of Albion. The crowd cheers. Well, most of them. So we could take a tour, or lend our voice to the protests. But I think, for today, we will take a tour of the new train. Because they are cool. The Monitor's hull is curved to deflect incoming rounds, but its plating is much lighter than that of a London dreadnought. The bridge is crammed with state-of-the-art sensory equipment. You put your eye to the main scope, and it flings your sight through the Monitor's precisely aligned lenses and away to a distant stretch of sky. The stars are bright and close. You step back, bumping into a control panel. Careful, warns a watchful crewman. That's the gun. Just the one, you ask? He grins. Oh, she only needs the one. So, we will now encounter these ministry monitors while we're out flying about, which will be cool. I'll point them out when we see them, but they're very shiny. Fighting them is hard. And now, we are docked at London. My voice is starting to go, which is sad. And it's getting a little bit later into the afternoon, starting to feel the hunger. So I am going to save these storylets for when we next play this. Not exactly sure what my schedule is going to be. I might be able to do a stream of something on Monday afternoon. But since it's a long weekend, those plans are a little bit in flux right now. But I'm hoping for sure to pick this back up Uh, next Friday, probably late afternoon to evening. But I will update my schedule on Twitch once I have a better sense of what it's gonna look like. Uh, yeah, when was the last time any of us talked for a long time? Unless you professionally do this. Never. I don't know. What's talking? What's people? Find out later on Dragon Ball Z. Uh, so yeah, we are going to leave it here at London. I have a whole bunch of storylets to do here. Everything from the mysterious black box that Captain Whitlock left us, to visiting the friend of the fatalistic signalman, to who knows what else we will find. I think several of the other princesses are here. So I'm gonna go ahead and call it for today. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. And yeah, expect I will do this again next Friday, if not sooner.